Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated, but there is a better way to buy with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event. And right now, get $20 off your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code WINGO today.
Little Aretha. Little Aretha getting us through this Thursday morning. Aretha Franklin joining us back on Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And I am a huge Aretha Franklin fan. I mean, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, Natural Woman, all that stuff.
Got that strong, powerful voice.
Still to this day.
Yep.
Now, do you remember last year when Aretha played the national anthem before the Lions game on Thanksgiving?
Yes, I do.
I think that national anthem just ended.
Yeah.
That might have been the longest national anthem. And I love Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, drew that one out.
That was
drawn out. Yeah.
That was lengthy.
I'm always amazed at when you get to the Super Bowl, you have all those the side bet things, right?
Yep.
The prop bets.
Right.
And one is always length of the national anthem, which I always thought to myself, whoever's singing it can make a fortune.
Yep.
They're the ones that know how long it's going to be.
That is correct.
Tell people around them, their friends, what it's going to be and go make a bet.
That is manipulating.
Man.
That is manipulating the thing to your advantage.
I'm all about that.
So, good. Well, yeah, listen, I having worked with you for years and now in this, I know you're all about the bank.
Yep. Well,
all about the bank.
How can it work for me?
Which is really the symbol of the holidays.
Well, that's
How
it.
can it work for
How
me?
does it better me?
Not for you, not helping others, not giving gifts. How can it work for me?
By the way, I got a note from my daughter. Again, my daughter Sydney turned 23 today. Happy birthday. I gave her I said, you can use Dad's credit card and get yourself something, $50 limit.
Mm-hmm. How'd that work out?
She texted me and said, is it bad that I went $2,950 over the limit?
Not for me, it isn't. Is it bad for you?
Well, I haven't had a chance yet to call my credit card company and cancel her card.
You can just look on the app and
I'm
just
not
see
looking.
what she purchased.
I'm not
You're
looking.
afraid?
I don't want to know.
You're terrified of what might pop up?
If I don't know, maybe it didn't really happen.
There you go.
I had one of my teammates one time that was bemoaning how his wife spent a lot of money, and his line was, "Man, if there's a check in the checkbook, she thinks there's money in the account."
That's like the old line from George Costanza. Remember, Jerry, it's not a lie if you believe it.
If you believe it. Exactly
right. We'll see what happens there going forward. Again, happy birthday to Sid.
Mm-hmm.
Lots to get to, and we'll talk a little bit about Ezekiel Elliott's return to the Dallas Cowboys and what that means for him and what he had to say about his return.
Yeah.
Coming up in just a little bit. Not much at all. No. But again, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But let's do a little What's Trending. You ready?
Yes.
Now, Jer Bear, our fabulous sound guy, not Cliff, by the way.
Not Cliff.
Cliff, of course, is the music man.
This is Jerry.
This is Jer Bear, who does all our bits.
Did you give him Jer Bear, or is he known by Jer Bear? I've never heard.
Are we good with that? We like Jer Bear, right? No? He looks like a bear, doesn't he?
He does look like a bear.
Big, scruffy guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll go Jer Bear until he says don't ever do that again.
Okay.
So anyway, he's come up with some, we have our off-the-top stuff, news of the weird, over-under, fill in the blank.
Right.
We need some stuff for What's Trending.
Okay.
So let's start What's Trending. This is the first thing he came up with. What's Trending? You like that?
That's not bad.
It's not bad. All right,
so we'll
start
build
with dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Here's What's Trending. Mets extend GM Sandy Alderson, a move that was long expected. The team announced the agreement on Wednesday, but the length of his new deal was not specified. Alderson's previous contract was a 3-year deal that ran through last season. He succeeded Omar Minaya in October of 2010.
Man, remember when we were talking about that pitching staff, between them and the Cubs, the pitching staff and the youth of the Cubs, and these teams are going to be doing this for years, and then one by one, that pitching staff, just one injury after another and going down to the point. He had 92 losses last year.
All right, so that was the first off-the-top sound. Are you ready for the second one?
No, what's trending?
What's trending? Dang, wow.
Come on now.
What's trending?
Yeah.
My bad. Sort of a techno.
Yeah, it is.
We like the first one better.
I like the first one better right now.
Okay,
all right.
Georgia cleaned up on the first day of the first ever early signing period, signing 6 of the top 18 prospects in the class, and all 6 are 5-star recruits. They've signed 5-star quarterbacks in each of the past 3 recruiting seasons, which means...
what's interesting is, are they going to stay? In 2016, Jacob Eason was the 13th rated quarterback, goes to Georgia. He gets hurt at the beginning of the year. Jacob Fromm, a true frosh, takes over, and he's quarterback the rest of the year, this team into the playoffs right now. And now they got the number one dual threat quarterback and number one recruit overall in Justin Fields. There's no way all those quarterbacks are staying at Georgia. So Georgia cleaned up there. Clemson got 3 of the top 5. They finished the day with the 5th ranked class, but it includes 3 of the top 5 overall players in the ESPN 300. Again, this early signing period goes until into Friday, and then the normal signing period is that first Wednesday in February.
And again, let me just say, yes,
yeah, that first, and then
Jer Bear got me.
Yeah.
Look, all this stuff is great, but please take all this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
The high school recruiting thing. I mean, again, we get 50% of the first round picks in the NFL draft wrong.
Yeah, and these are when you get a good look at guys in college, let alone, it's even more ridiculous to me than the rating of the player. And listen, I went through this, not as me, but when my kids go through it, and to find out your kid is rated at a certain level, and then he because he's already committed to a school, doesn't go to a couple of camps because he's like, why?
I know where I want to go.
I'll say so, what about Jake? Jake went when Mike played in the Army All-American game as a senior. Jake was a junior, got invited to be in the combine down there, and he was rated as one of the top 2 tight ends at that combine. Was given a great rating. Well, and this was in January. They're not playing football then, right?
Right.
In February, he committed to Notre Dame. So he's committed to Notre Dame. That rating came out in January. No football is again played until the following year. He got invited to go to a couple of camps, the Adidas's and Nike camps and stuff, and he didn't want. He's like, I committed. There's no need to go to these. I'm just going to train on my own.
So his rating went down?
All of a sudden, his rating went down, and he didn't do a thing. Yeah. I mean, it was just amazing about the rating system somehow. I'll go back to me. I was ranked one of the top players in the country coming out. I was on a magazine cover with Sean Salisbury, Jack Del Rio, Bill Fralick, Aaron Roberts, and I was ranked the top defensive lineman in the country. I had never played defensive line. Yeah. And I was ranked as the top defensive lineman in the country.
We're not saying it doesn't have some merit, and it is just understand what it is and what it isn't.
Yeah,
it's
exactly
what we're saying.
There you go.
All right, we're trying out another sounder for what's trending.
Wow.
Like a rim shot.
That's just right at you.
Right at it.
I still like the first one.
Still like the first one better.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Kehlani Nava, becoming the first female to score points in a Texas state title football game. Nava, a senior at Strawn School, booted 9 extra points on Wednesday at Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium. Her right foot helped unbeaten Strawn to a 78-42 victory. I think this was 6-man football, if I'm not mistaken, or 6-person football, if I'm not mistaken there. So congratulations to her.
How great is that, though, for these high school players to play in that stadium?
Oh, my gosh.
That is so cool to see. But then, and congrats to her. And what a score, 78 points, 9 extra points.
I think that's 6-man football. Yeah, 6-man or 6-person football.
6-person, yes, in this case,
category. Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of what's trending, but we do have one more sounder. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think I go with number 1.
I think I go play number 1 again.
Because Jerry picked out, he labeled these 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one was the first one. Yeah, that's
I think I go with that one.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like something from a game show in the 70s.
It does.
Let's meet our next contestant. Da, 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 da. That's exactly what that sounds like.
Let's do our next trending.
There you go. That's the one. Let's meet our new contestant.
There you go.
On Catch a Thief or to Tell a Lie or whatever, Password or whatever, all those great game shows. Okay, so that's that. Meanwhile, Dallas Cowboys, as we said, have Ezekiel Elliott back after his 6-game suspension. They are still mathematically in the playoff hunt.
Yes,
a lot of things have to break their way, including
playing Seattle. The loser is going to be out. The winner will have, that some mathematical chance.
FBI 538, 7.3% chance, whatever. But for the first time since coming back from the suspension, this was Zeke interacting with the Cowboys reporters at their facility, the Star in Frisco, Texas.
I'm not really going to talk about it. It's behind me. I'm just trying to start a new page, a new chapter, and I'm going to thank, this Cowboys organization for being behind me. Thank for my family and my team and my friends for just supporting me through the time, and especially the Cowboys fans who stuck by me through this tough time and haven't lost faith in me. But I'm not talking about it anymore. This is going to be the last time you hear me speak about it. So please don't even ask me about it.
You're not going to talk about the prospect. Can you talk about what you did the last 6 weeks?
No. I'm ready to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. I'm ready to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not speaking on it anymore.
Why is it that you don't want to talk about that 6-week stretch?
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
On one level, I understand him trying to move forward, and it's in my rear view. I've got a clear view, all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, he might have handled that a little better.
Well, here's what I don't know, Trey. Before I say anything, I don't know how many questions he already answered. About that.
Well, he was asked a couple of times. Like the first question there was like, I'm not talking about. They were asking about. First of all, what did you learn?
Right.
I saw the transcript of this. What did you learn?
So there was nothing before that. So did he ever lay out anything about what he did in Cabo, what he learned? Did he ever answer any of that?
He talked about there was a documentary apparently that they were filming during that 6 weeks.
Okay.
And that, it'll all be in the documentary.
Oh, there you go.
When it comes out.
Good tease for him, huh?
Correct. So, I mean, there's a couple of things there. Look, does he have to talk about it? No. You can ask the questions and he can answer it any way you want to. It might have been better for him to say, you know what? It was a self-evaluation time, and I've sort of put myself in a better position, and I want to move forward from that, and that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
Which I can understand. And they did ask him, hey, what were your workouts like? And he's like, well, you'll see it in the documentary.
Right. So he did say that. And the thing I'll say, if you start to answer it and say, well, I learned this or learned that, then you know what happens. Yeah. The next question comes.
Yes.
And the next question comes. So he's just going to say, listen, not talking about it, done. And especially if he made a documentary, he's going to want everything to be there. I don't have a problem with that, and he pulled the Bill Belichick then. I'm looking forward to Seattle.
Yeah. I'm on to Seattle.
On to Seattle. So does he owe? He doesn't owe anybody an explanation. And if you're not going to, then it's how you present yourself. How do you carry yourself? He said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. They kept asking questions, which is fine. They have every right to keep asking the questions, and he shut it down. So would you like to see it handled differently? Yeah, but everything's not in the perfect world. Everything's not the way we want it to be. And he just felt the best way to deal with it is say, you know what, not going to talk about it. Going to move on.
So what you're saying, and if I can sort of paraphrase it a little bit, everything wants to be black and white, but a lot is gray. Right?
It's exactly right.
Thank you. So quit asking me to make all these ridiculous choices on these poll questions. It has to be one or the other.
No, but when it's a poll question,
there's gray. The world is gray. It's not black and white.
But when there's a poll question, it's one or the other, or a few choices.
Right, we are putting in all three choices now. There's a middle choice on every one of these poll questions.
Oh,
that's where it is.
That should make for great radio.
What do you think? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. hey,
Trey, how do you feel about that? I'm not so sure.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Whatever. Oh, see, that's bad. Hey,
well
do you know
done.
what I say to that?
Dilly.
There we go. Okay. So what are reasonable expectations now? Because here's the interesting thing. Despite missing 6 games, Zeke is 87 rushing yards shy of passing Emmitt Smith for the most rushing yards through 2 seasons in Cowboys history. That in and of itself is pretty impressive.
It is. So you're asking what expectations are. All right. So he's gone for the 6 weeks. So he's working out on a makeshift field made on a driving range in Cabo. He's running in the sand and training. He's doing all that he can do, right? He's working out how he can work out. But you know what he's not able to do? He's not able to get in football shape.
Or get hit.
This is a long time. That's part of football shape. That's exactly what I mean. There's the running with all the gear on, and then there's making football moves, and then there's getting hit, walking back to the huddle and doing it over again and again and again. So, and that isn't like a week or two. This was 6 weeks. So it was a while. He's not putting the uniform on, and he's falling out of football shape. So the biggest question to me is the touches. How many touches does he get? And that I don't know. My guess is they're still going to kind of work them. My guess would be there's only 2 more games, and then they try and get to the playoffs.
And they got to win them both.
Right. So my guess is he's going to get 15 to 20 touches between carries and catches, maybe more depending on the game. Because at this point, what are you saving him for?
Right.
Now, unless he's just too tired or out of shape to be productive, and your backups can be more productive, it's going to be like, go on out there. We're throwing you another screen pass or a flare pass or handing you off the ball. Do your thing. So I do think he will get more touches than people think because it's do or die for them. And that's the guy you want as long as he's physically able to do it. And that's going to be the question. How worn is he going to be?
Well, if you project his career total from last year when he ran for over 1,600 yards, he had 322 carries, which averages out to about 20 a game. Mm-hmm. That doesn't include his receptions. He had 32 last year. He has 19 already this year and 191 carries this year in 8 games. So that's about right. They're trying to get him 20 carries and then 3 or 4 receptions. So I would imagine maybe 12 to 15 carries
and a few receptions,
and then 3 or 4 receptions would be the case. The other thing which is really interesting is that he has a chance He averages basically 98 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's 217 yards shy of a second straight 1,000-yard season. So he basically has to average 109 yards over the last 2 games to get 1,000 yards. Do you think that's doable? Because all it takes is one big game.
It's definitely doable. Yeah, you're right. It does take one big game that could knock the other game not having to be so much. So, yeah, I definitely think that's doable. I think they're in a position now that offensive line is playing better than they were at the beginning of the season. That's for sure. So I think they can get those rushing yards as long as he's in physically good enough shape to do it, which I think at this point I think he's going to be. I do think he'll get between those 15 and 20 touches.
Okay. This is really all about them getting – I was trying to talk to Riley and research and get something, and I did.
Whatever. No excuses.
No, it's not Cliff. I'm not yelling at Cliff like you. I did it. It's on me.
Hate Cliff.
So here's the deal. How can you hate Cliff? They have to win, but here's the scenario for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, they are 8-6. Both the Seahawks and Cowboys are 8-6. To make the playoffs, both the Seahawks and Cowboys have to win out. Any of the Falcons or Panthers or Saints losing twice and the Lions losing once, or the Panthers lose their final 2 games and the Saints lose their final 2 games. I don't think that is going to happen because I think the Saints play the Bucs, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend. Next week, the final weekend of the season, I think they play the Bucs because the Falcons finish up with the Saints and the Panthers. So the idea that
yes, Falcons finish up with the Saints and the Panthers, and who else do we say there?
We say the Saints play the Bucs this weekend, or they play the Falcons this weekend, finish up with the Bucs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the loser of this game is out.
Yes, for sure.
So what is the easiest road? What's the best path for the Cowboys here?
Listen, I personally can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to make it. Too many things have to happen that instead of guessing, I just wait to see what's going to play out.
Right.
I mean,
the reason why I'm asking this is they finish up in Philadelphia.
Right.
And people are like, well, they're probably not going to win that game.
Well, we don't even know what Philly's playing for.
That's the point.
So, I mean, that's the thing. We don't know. We don't even know what Philly's playing for in the own game they're playing, let alone what's their best route outside of that on who's going to lose.
Because here's the deal. With a win this Sunday, the Eagles will clinch home field advantage throughout the NFC. And under the current playoff format since 1990, they've only done that 1 seed 3 times, and one of those was when they reached the Super Bowl in 2004. So the idea is, if you're a Cowboys fan, the idea that, hey, that game, like it meant nothing to the Cowboys last year when they finished up in Philadelphia, that may mean nothing to the Eagles going forward for that Week 6-17 matchup. And then how do they play that game, especially already having their starting quarterback out for the year in Carson Wentz?
Yeah, the thing that I don't know is I don't know how Doug Peterson will approach this. We have no idea how he approaches this. What I do know is that I think even if you don't know how a head coach is going to approach it, if you have players that are nicked up, you probably sit them. You know, if you have that ability to, you're going to sit them. So it all depends on where they are with guys that are nicked up to try and get them healthy for the run in the playoffs.
All right, so we'll see how that plays out. But again, it all doesn't matter if the Cowboys don't win this week, this Sunday, and it doesn't matter if the Seahawks don't win this week. Although the Seahawks look a little beat up at this point in the regular season after what happened last week against the Rams. Are you ready for a little bit of what your favorite thing is?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Here's your news of the weird with Golick and Wingo.
Let's go to a rental space in New York, shall we? West 36th Street.
Okay.
18.
I'm already a little terrified.
18 people in 2 lines, stretching, shoulder rotations, doing lunges, getting themselves loose, and all wearing sneakers and black T-shirts that say Rogue Alliance on them.
It's in a rental unit?
Yep.
Like a place where you store stuff?
I don't know. Like they've rented the space, I guess. I don't think like a rental storage.
I thought you meant
space.
like a place like a closet, extended closet.
So. I think it's a place they rented.
Okay.
And there's 18 people that are going to do a workout. And they have T-shirts on that say Rogue Alliance.
Is this a Star Wars thing?
It looks like any other exercise class, except it's with lightsabers.
Come on.
I am not kidding you. Ray Netchie, everybody should know, who runs things here. I don't even know what his official title is.
He's currently scratching his beard because he's very worried about what
He is a Star Wars geek freak, without question.
Yeah.
Crazy. And so he probably likes this. But they have this class where they go in, it's kind of like a workout class, but they learn how to fight with lightsabers.
So they're working out and then also perfecting their Jedi technique.
So here's one of the things the head of the class is saying. Wall side is attacking, mirror side is on defense. Let's practice doing the shape of an A with the sabers. Hip, hip, head, hip, hip, head.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm sorry, run that back one more time.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
The wall side is attacking the mirror side. They're in two lines. The wall side is attacking. The mirror side is on defense. Let's practice doing the shape of an A with the sabers. Hip, hip, head. Hip, hip, head.
I don't know why the first thing that came to my mind when you say the shape of an A, is it a capital A or a small A?
I don't know.
Right? That makes a difference.
I do not know.
That makes a difference. It's a capital A? Oh, hip. Okay, I got it. I'm doing that up, down, and then across, hip, hip, head. That's what it is.
They work on.
I was trying to figure out how that would be a lowercase a and how that worked.
They work on, for the next hour, participants discussed and practiced several different forms of sword fighting, also incorporating their lightsabers. First there was fencing, then German longsword.
Sure.
Followed by stage choreography. Last was Shi Chu, one of the seven saber forms of fighting that appear in Star Wars. They click light sticks reverberating throughout the room. And then when two people battle, the way they applaud is they tap their lightsabers on the ground like the hockey sticks on ice. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to know. By the way, have you seen the new Star Wars movie yet?
I have not.
I went.
Did you like it?
Great with a capital A.
It's long.
Great with a capital A in the
hip,
middle.
hip, head.
Hip, hip, head. I go full hip, hip, head.
So an hour workout of lightsaber fighting.
Yeah.
Now they do go out and they do put on shows for people and raise money for charity, which is a cool thing.
Absolutely.
That's a cool thing.
Hip, hip, head.
And yet.
Yeah, there's that.
2
hours and 33 minutes, though. 2 hours and 33
little long?
minutes.
Could you have picked another spot where it could have ended?
Well, always. But, the thing is, it's a middle movie, right? It picked up off the last one, and it's leading to the next one. So it's a middle movie. But for a middle movie, it's pretty good. Great with a capital A. Hip, hip, head. All right, that's done with that. Thank you. That was News of the Weird.
They all got together at the end.
Oh, there's more.
Put the lightsaber tips in the middle of the circle. You get in the middle and you do 1, 2, 3 and you scream something.
Yeah.
They did that with their lightsaber tips.
And what did they say?
And Rogue Alliance.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. Rogue Alliance.
There you go.
Yeah. And then they went home to their lives.
You know what it would have been better?
Dilly.
Just do it that way. All right, coming up, a former NBA player on the injury to Chris Paul and LeVar Ball's idea for an alternative to the one and done rule. That's next on Hip Hip Head. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Dilly.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Well, Kenny Chesney getting you through this Thursday morning as we are Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Coming up in just a little bit, Carlos Boozer will join us to talk about all things going on in the NBA, including the really outstanding start to Kyle Kuzma's career, the injury to Paul George. Excuse me, Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, the abductors, like the pulled groin, like the groin, the inside of that high thigh area, which certainly can one of those things that can last on you for without question.
Not something you want. By the way, we put it up on Golic and Wingo on the poll earlier. We talked about with Kobe retiring and so many iconic guys that have been sort of with Evan Longoria being traded from the D-Rays to the Giants. Right. He'd spent his entire career with the Tampa Bay Rays or the D-Rays, however you want to look at it, how it's been through the years. What is the one player the one person that you still associate with one team in this age of free agency. Obviously Tom Brady comes to mind with the Patriots, Ben Roethlisberger, Dirk Nowitzki. Somebody mentioned Sidney Crosby. Before that it would have been Mario Lemieux for the Penguins. That one player that you think, oh yeah, he was with this. I mean, even Joe Montana, for crying out loud, finished in Kansas City. Yeah. Thurman Thomas finished up as a Miami Dolphin. It's so
crazy. Weird when you start thinking about some of the great players and where they finished up. But in today's game, so active players today, who are the ones that resonate the most? I got to imagine Tom Brady's got to be one of the biggest ones there. You could even say Aaron Rodgers as well in Green Bay. So I thought interesting with Longoria, 10 years. With Tampa Bay, now San Francisco Giants, because they needed to upgrade that third base position. And at 32 years old, from his stats last year to what the third base position did last year for the Giants.
Dead last.
Yeah, he'll be able to do that job.
They were literally the last in the National League in terms of everything they got out of third base production. So obviously that's the reason they were going in the way of getting that trade for Evan Longoria. Another thing we've talked a lot about on this show is what LeVar Ball is trying to do.
Right.
For those that weren't with us earlier, LeVar, of course, is certainly not shy about putting himself out there. He is wanting to start a league for players that are good prospects, potentially, for the NBA that don't want to go through college and don't want to go through the one-and-done rule, and he wants to set up a league with them where he pays anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 a month to play in some sort of developmental league. The idea actually makes sense. The question then becomes, do we believe he's the guy to pull it off, or should just the NBA G League be more invested in what they're doing?
I think that's a direction that the G League wants to go. And listen, then it comes about finances, because I think the NFL should have, like NFL Europe, I thought was very good for grooming future NFL players. But it was very costly because it was in Europe, teams, all over Europe. And I think they could use a league like that in the United States, but to them, would it be cost effective? And you're getting all your players from college where you don't have to pay anything to do that. So that's a lot what it comes down to. Would the NBA feel the G League, which, by the way, seniors out of high school can go to the G League, can be drafted by the G League. The age minimum there is 18, not 19 like it is for the NBA. So it already can be done. High school seniors already can have a place to go if they would be draft eligible for the G League. So they can play there for between $19,500. That's one of the salaries, or the other is $26,000 over a 6-month period that they could get. So LeVar's talking about a league that would just purely be for high school players, because the G League has obviously some former NBA players in there, guys that get sent down, also international players as well. This would just be for high school students. I don't know, between college, where these guys can go play, and or the G League where they can play. I don't know if there'll be a place for this. As I said earlier, whether you think it's a good idea or not, I just don't think LeVar Ball can get out of his way enough to be able to oversee this. You would really need some structure and some planning for this thing, and I just think LeVar likes to control too many things himself, and if that's his nature, that's his nature. But when you start talking about something this intricate, I just don't think that with his personality that he would be able to pull it off. And I don't know if there's a spot for this between the NCAA and if the G League builds up to taking more of the high school seniors. I don't know. Maybe there is, but you have to look at the downsides of the G League, where a guy comes out and if he doesn't make it, he can't go to college, so what does he do now? It would be the same thing in a league like this. When you say, college isn't for everyone, I understand that, and I think that's absolutely right. But it's also a little bit of a safety net in the fact of, if you are a one and done, you only have to deal with really one semester of school to stay eligible. Because that second semester, by the time the NCAA tournament's done, you're going to move on anyway if you're a one and done. And if you're not good enough to be a one and done, well, then you can stay in school and keep playing basketball. Whereas if you go in this league or in the G League and you're not good enough to play basketball, you may not have a place to play, and then you may be done.
Well, let's ask our next guest.
Yeah.
Carlos Boozer joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line to talk about this. Carlos, thanks for being with us this morning. We've been talking a little bit about this idea of a developmental league that LeVar Ball wants to sort of get into, taking LeVar Ball out of the equation, if that's possible, for lack of a better term. Do you like the idea of maybe having this other bridge league for players that may not want to go do the one-and-done route in college?
Hey, good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm very curious about how it's going to function. You know, I think it could be something good. There's a lot of kids that fall that are in between, like being NBA talent, you know, NBA-ready talent coming out of college or high school, and at the same time not being quite good enough. So there's obviously the G League, and, you know, there's that option. There's overseas. There's that option, too. I'm all for creating opportunities for kids to continue playing basketball. And, you know, I think it could be a good thing depending on how it's run. So I am very curious to see how it all turns out.
Former NBA player Carlos Boozer joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. We've had Adam Silver on, the commissioner of the league, and he said he's had conversations, or him and Michelle Robertson, the union, about, you know, where you go forward, or they've both had conversations, maybe even separately with the NCAA, about what to do with the one-and-done rule. What do you see with that? Do you want to see that? I think from the NBA side, they would like it to go to an age 20 minimum, so 2 years in college, where the union, I'm sure, would want it to be right out of high school. Where do you stand on when players should be allowed to go into the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a specific topic that's tough to discuss, because you have guys like LeBron James and Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant, who are three of our best players that we've ever had in the league. But there's only three of them. You know, majority of us, including myself, had to go to college, develop, get tools from great college coaches to work on our bodies and get prepared, you know, psychologically just as much as physically for the NBA. Because it's a whole different league. It's a monster of a league, and you got to be able to take it on both sides. But at the same time, some of these kids have been, you know, training their whole life, you know, eating right, have nutritionists, have personal trainers, and they want to start making money for their families and starting to take care of their families. So there's that dynamic as well, you know, as well. As they're chasing their dream, there's also the financial part of it where they want to start making money right away. You know, just like you think about Brandon Jennings, who went overseas for a year out of high school, played 1 year overseas, and then came in the NBA draft. I want to say Moutier did the same thing. He went to China, I think, out of high school, and then came to the NBA as well. So
he did, yeah.
So there's different dynamics. I think it's very specific to each kid's situation, you know, on where they are financially and where they are with their dream and where they are athletically. Like, are they ready for the NBA? Not every kid out of high school, or even after 1 year, to be quite honest, is ready for the NBA. Not every kid is Carmelo Anthony or Anthony Davis or Boogie Cousins. They can go John Wall. They can go 1 year to school and be ready for the NBA. You know, there's very few Kyrie Irvings out there. So I think it's going to be an ongoing debate, and we'll see where it lands.
Carlos Boozer with us this morning, and you played 3 years at Duke, and I just want people to understand or get your perspective on this. You know, a lot of people say one and done, it's a sham and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, even if you're on campus for a year, did it not help you learn things that you had no idea that you needed to be prepared for coming out of high school?
Oh, my goodness, so much. I mean, for me, I remember going – I'll tell you a quick story. Like, I remember I was a McDonald's All-American, one of the top players in my high school draft, 99. And I'm done. I'm finished up high school. I go to campus at Duke. Me and Jay Williams come down like a month early, and we're training for the season even before school started. And just the level of training that you have to go through in college is a much higher level of training than I ever did in high school. So first thing we do is we do a track workout. We do 4 1200s. We do like 8 800s. We do like 12 600. It was incredible. I threw up after my first workout. I'm 17 years old. First track workout. Just got to Duke on campus. And Jay Will tell you this. I threw up right away. So the level of training that it takes to become an NBA player, that kind of focus, is very different than high school. The adjustment period, the travel, the mindset, like the psychological part of it, where, you know, you're 19 years old or you're 18 years old or whatever you are after your first year of college, and you're going to the NBA, and, you know, there's no more classes. It's just you, your teammates, and now you're a man. You know, you go to restaurants, you have to deal with bills, and you find out what taxes are, what FICA, you know, all this stuff you learn out of college. And so not every kid is prepared for that. For me, it helped me a lot, you know. I got a chance to learn from Coach K. On the basketball side of things, I'm at Duke, so I'm playing against the top competition at Carolina, at Maryland, UCLA, Kentucky. we're playing against the top teams every year, going to the Final Four, going to the tournament. So on a basketball standpoint, I was playing against the best competition that I possibly could at that level. Now, it wasn't pro level, but it was most of these kids that are playing at these schools are going to go pro too. So it got me prepared from that standpoint as well. And then learning from guys like Grant Hill that would come back and talk to us on campus. Elton Brand, who was number one pick in the draft, came back and talked to us on campus. Trajan Langdon, same thing. So it was awesome to go to those universities and be able to talk to guys that went through what I was going through. So I think that the whole college experience helped me tremendously, and I'm sure it did the same thing whether you're there for a year or you're there for 4 years. I think the college experience helps a lot of guys.
Well, great point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's great. And by the way, I love you mentioned Trajan Langdon. That's one of my favorite names. Trajan Langdon. It rolls right off the tongue. Hey, Carlos, we appreciate you being with us and your insights. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Carlos.
Hey, anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Rolling in on Golic and Wingo, and again, you are short on time because it's the last Thursday before Christmas, so
you better get after
it. Tick-tock. So one of the things that's happened recently around here is that we've had Aaron Boone leave the Sunday night booth to go join the Yankees and be their manager. Mm-hmm. Herm Edwards, my guy, left here after 9 years, head coach at Arizona State. And now insider Louis Riddick, who, of course, has been in the NFL as a player and front office on a couple of teams, is interviewing for the Giants general.
Yes, he is. Interviewed last year for a
San Francisco
position as well.
Absolutely.
I could certainly see him getting back into the business. Just a matter of where the right fit for him is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be this job or not, but like anything else, you get back in the interviewing frame, you get in front of these people and you interview, and those that are doing the interviews, they talk amongst others, and when another team's if someone doesn't get the job and then they're going to interview somewhere else, that place may call where they interviewed and ask how it all went. So it's a good way to be out there and get your feelings out there. Of course, we wish him all the luck in the world, and he obviously wants to get back into it and do something like this. I have no doubt he will at some point. Like I said, I don't know if it will be this job or not, but with the Giants. But I have no doubt that he'll be back in the business sooner or later.
Well, not only that, but the Giants have also interviewed David Gettleman, who former the Carolina Panthers general manager, who had a weird sort of parting of ways there, and that brought Marty Herney back as the a temporary GM for the Carolina Panthers. But Gettleman, he was the architect of that team that put together that team that went to Super Bowl 50 and lost to Peyton Manning and the Broncos in that game 24-10 out at Levi Stadium. Yeah, Lewis is just, anytime you hang out with him, you could just smell and hear and listen to the football smarts.
A lot of great football knowledge, and the football knowledge of today's game as well, which certainly will bode him well. And can again, I do think he'll get a gig. It's just a matter of where. If this isn't the right fit, then it will be another one. I'm happy he's out there interviewing. So,
and then the question becomes, who's the head coach going to be?
Right,
because right now Steve Spagnuolo is the interim head coach, replacing the fired Ben McAdoo. The way I'm sort of interpreting what's going on, I don't think Spags is going to
I don't either. I think it's going to be completely new. I think it's going to be, you got to bring in all new on this one, and it should start with the general manager and let the general manager then obviously be part of bringing in the head coach, and then the head coach obviously with their assistant. So there you have it.
That's usually the works, but then again, you have what happened in Cleveland when they said Hugh Jackson's going to be the head coach.
Did it happen with the Jets as well a couple of years ago? So
John Dorsey, understand that Hugh Jackson is your head coach until we tell you he's not your head coach, and he's the new GM for the Cleveland Browns, who have a chance.
Yes, they do.
They have a chance this Sunday against the Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears, usually when they're favored, they lose.
0-7.
And they're favored in this game.
And Hugh Jackson has twice won games as a head coach on Christmas Eve.
And while he was given the vote of confidence he will be back, Hugh Jackson, you never know. We will see, and we'll see about John Fox as well in Chicago. Adam Schefter again said there could be 6 to 8 openings.
Yeah, I think he may be right with 8, which is 1/4 of the league. Hey, don't forget to watch Temple versus FIU, the Bad Boy Mower Gasparilla Bowl with Mike Golic Jr. on the broadcast, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Our guests tomorrow will include Field Yates, Adrian Wojnarowski, and the big man, Damian Woody.
And you will have a sweater that lights up once I go get batteries.
I'm going to buy all the batteries out in the state of Connecticut. Thanks for listening.